friend Shishir Babu, Professor Mortis, Professor Pandey, and other distinguished members of the faculty, and my young friends, students there. Warm welcome to all of you. I'm sorry I am not present physically, but I am talking to you digitally, because that is how India is growing. I had some important commitments in my constituency. Therefore, Shishir Babu asked me to speak. I had agreed, but I am equally thankful to him that he enables me to talk to you digitally. My warm greetings to all of you once again. Today I learned a new facet of Shishir Babu. We talk a lot of technology, but he talked about technical textile. Technical textile is an expression I would have to know a little more deeper. And if technical textile should be blended with India's earth-grown textile, I'm sure there would be a lot of sustainability in it. But that is a separate chapter I will discuss with him when I meet in person. Sustainable economy, that is what RISE is about, and innovation. Friends, let me say, today when I talk to you, as was rightly pointed out, with the blessings and initiative of the Prime Minister, I have been a player in many of the transformations which took place in India. And today, I would like to share for my young friends here how initiatives which were opposed, initiatives which were doubted, today have transformed the country and empowered ordinary people. We need to ask one question to ourselves. What is the meaning of sustainable economy? Innovation will come later on. Well, sustainable economy must respond to environmental challenges. We have to. But in my very considered view, friends, sustainable economy is something beyond. Sustainable economy, in my very clear understanding, is creating processes, technology, and a strategy for a long-term growth of the economy, blended with innovation, profitability, and above all, social equity. If these three are combined together, then surely the economy becomes sustainable. Then comes the role of technology, because innovation bereft of technology can never endure. My young friends who are students here, let me tell you, this is the age of technology. Technology is power. This is the age of communication. Communication is power. This is the age of innovation. Innovation is power. These three things must be kept in mind when you talk of sustainable economy. When the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji was chosen as the leader of the party to become the PM candidate, he coined an expression, a very historic one. In his rally in Ramlila Maidan in 2013, I was sitting on the dais, and all of us were absolutely excited. He said, if I will become the Prime Minister of India, I would like to create an India where IT plus IT is equal to IT. None of us could understand this. He said, I mean, India today plus information technology is equal to India tomorrow. That's the India I would like to create. Friends, 10 years down the line, how do we see it? Digital India program was conceived as a vehicle to fulfill this larger vision. When, as an IT and communication minister, we were devising the definition of digital India, a lot of technological definition came with. I said, nothing doing. Isko badlo. Let us keep it simple. Digital India is designed to empower ordinary Indians with the power of technology, bridge the digital divide between digital haves and digital have-nots, and most important, bring in digital inclusion. एक समावेशी भारत बनाना है. And this must be done through technology which is homegrown, developmental, and low cost. This was the theme which we devised as the mission of Digital India. Now, friend, let me give you some example how India has changed. India's population 1.4 billion. India is home to 1.39 billion Aadhaar card. What is Aadhaar card? Aadhaar card is a digital identity to supplement your physical identity. How it does? By capturing your fingerprints and iris. Why? Because by plastic surgery, you can change your face. You can change your name. But God has devised your fingerprint and your iris as something which cannot be changed and which is not comparable between two persons. Then we supplemented it with mobile phone spread. Do you know India is home to 1.2 billion mobile phone? इस देश में 120 करोड़ मोबाइल फोन, in which 95 crore 950 million are smartphones. And we have the cheapest data in the world. How we blended technology for social equity. This example you must understand, and particularly I am addressing the faculty and my young friends who are the futures. We opened about 50 crore bank accounts for the poor, underprivileged, out of the banking system. We linked their bank account with Aadhaar and also linked their mobile phone. Now we started sending all the welfare measures, the fertilizer, the gas, the food, Manrega payment, whole range of other facilities, that is the bank account, which we call DBT, Direct Benefit Transfer. You know, till date, we have sent 44 lakh crore to bank accounts in the entire country. And how much we have saved? About 4 lakh crore. Because the pilferer, the fraud cannot be found, technology completely excluded. Let me give you one particular example which has remained a great testimony for the government and also for me personally for satisfaction. When COVID came, the vaccine was produced in India, the remarkable feat of India. And yesterday, the Prime Minister addressing the joint session of the Parliament of Port of Spring said what? India sent vaccine made in India to about 150 countries of the world. They're all African countries, small countries, Latin American countries. Now, the PM asked us and the team in the PMO, can you devise a strategy so that the entire country is aware on their mobile phone as to on what date their first dose would be administered, what date the second dose will be administered, and what date the booster would be administered. And you can see, recall your memory, you were getting information on your mobile phone. On this date, you'll get your first dose. This week, 200 crore doses, we could do it in the country through the aid of technology. These are classic cases of sustainable, long-term adoption of technology for empowerment and equity. When the COVID came, work from home, lawyers are going, education being continued. I am sure, Shishir Babu, also in your time during COVID, some technology must have been adopted to keep the students informed. These are very, today we are giving about 33,000 crores to farmers. What is that? Every 3 months, 2,000 rupees for fertilizer, for seeds, etc. And how it is sent? At a click of a button, money is delivered. And the bank confirmed to the farmer, aapka paisa aa gaya. Because the message is done. So when I moved in my constituency, some farmer said, sir, abhi tak hamara mobile ton nahi bola. हमने कहा बोल जाएगा, थोड़ा संयम रखो. This is how technology adopts, and empowers. Pranam, when the mobile phone came, there is something very interesting and Dr. Shishir Babu, you need to know it. I went to Germany, I went to Korea, I went to USA. India must become a big hub of mobile manufacturing with such a huge market. We had only one mobile factory in 2014. Now we have 270. The electronic minister, I was very keen that Apple should come to India. I gently got 16 factories of Apple shifted from China to India. And today, how it has happened, in the view of trade issues with America, Apple airlifted mobiles, 1 lakh crore made in India of Apple. This is how you change technology, manufacturing, innovation. Now let me come a little about innovation. My young friends, innovation is a mindset. हमें करना है. And for mindset, the second most important thing, मुझे नौकरी नहीं करनी, मुझे अपना कुछ करना है. And there is a theme which I talked about, knowing from one experience. I want to become a job giver and not a job seeker. If you want to become the champions of innovation, keep this mantra in mind. This whole movement of startup with which I was associated in my official capacity commenced in the year 2016. We had just 500 startups then. Do you know how much startup we have in India? 1,59,000. In hardly 9 years of India's startup movement. Do you know how much employment they have given? 16.51 lakhs. Do you know how many startups there are women directors and entrepreneurs? 73 big startups. How this happened? As a policy maker involved with governance, my take for all my officers was, and so was the PM's vision, बच्चों को अपनी उंगलियों से खेलने दो. Trust their ability to play with their fingers on technology, on laptop, on thinking, and they will come with results. Friends, do you know today we have got startup movement in the space sector, the startup in the defense sector? Technology में तो होता ही है. We have a huge startup movement. Shishir Babu, I remember as an IT minister, I had gone to give the Economic Times Award 2-3 times in Bangalore. One day, a 23-year young boy, I would say, lean and thin, I gave him the check of rupees 10 lakh at the first prize. He has long hairs. He was the son of a senior civil servant. हमने कहा क्या करोगे बेटा? He looked at me. I trust my fingers and my mind, and the rest is enough. This you all must learn. And if India can grow so phenomenally in this movement of startup with equity, sustainability, then you must have that vision. The other thing I would like to highlight today, Indian economy is there. My young friends, remember, sustainability or adaptability or whatever type of conservation you want to have can only and only grow when you are economically progressing. Growth is important, and growth with equity is important. Remember India's economy, 2014, before it was something like what to say, chronic paralysis, policy paralysis. I remember I had gone to New York to address a particular convocation and seminar. I was then the deputy leader of opposition in the Raj Sabha. It was a private visit, you know that. And when the investors learned, they said, we would like to meet Mr. Prasad. Should we withdraw our money? And they have patience. Have patience. I'm not one of those public figures who criticize country when I go abroad. In opposition, trust in India. And today, what has happened? Amongst all the hiccups of COVID, global warfare, Pahalgam, Operation Sindoor, India's economy has become the fourth biggest economy of the world, on way to become the third biggest economy. How it has happened? The people of India rose to the occasion. The industries and corporate sector of India rose to the occasion. Mr. Martis, I had just gone to your country, Germany, leading the delegation of members of parliament in the wake of Operation Sindoor. I met your foreign minister and others. And it was a pleasure to see most of the European countries, including Germany, keen for a sound trade relationship with India, because they see India as a rising economic power. Now, digital power, all of them acknowledged that India has surpassed all of us. Today, Shishir Babu, about 21% of India's global digital payment is happening in India. And very soon it will become more than 50%. And who knows, these products like UPI, DigiLocker are all cheap, sustainable, and affordable. From Aadhaar to all this, ultimately, we have changed the whole global narrative of digital empowerment, digital business, and sustainability. Where do we go from here? Let me give my concluding comments. India's sustainable model would always be remembered, will be followed for three things. Sustainability comes with ethical values. Sustainability comes with getting sustenance and inspiration from your heritage. Sustainable comes with the founding principles of India's civilizational and cultural heritage. What is that? What Gandhiji said, there is enough in this world for everyone's need. There is not enough in this world for everyone's greed. This disconnect or competition, as you, in whatever way you like to call it, between greed and need is going to be the defining challenge of humanity globally amidst all this conflict. And there, the India's model would always be relevant. For my young friends, I always quote one great shloka of Kabir, Sant Kabir, साईं इतना दीजिए जामे कुटुंब समाए मैं भी भूखा ना रहूं साधु न भूखा जाए. Give me that much of bread so that I can take care of myself and also feed someone hungry who comes to my door. If you see the entire trajectory of India's growth, sharing our innovation in COVID vaccine to share globally at affordable price, the empowerment of yoga through a sound mind and pranayam for a long health, and above all, always insisting growth with equity. If that is the scenario, it automatically becomes sustainable. Yes, there will be debate, discussions on emission cuts. I regret to say many of the global narratives have become completely, in a way, uncertain in view of the development globally in various quarters. I need not name that. But how we have to navigate ourselves. India's model would always become relevant. And therefore, Shishir Babu, my concluding take to you is, let your institution develop models of sustainability, of innovation, as to how India's heritage can help you navigate the challenges for the future and also be part of a sustainable ecosystem in economy. That is how I see this challenge. I'm thankful to you that you invited me to address some of my general views. I thought I must share with my young friends in whole question of innovation. As I said, all this could happen because we come with innovation friendly policies. 10,000 crore was the package for innovation, tax exemptions, etc. We came with laws like bankruptcy code, as the law minister I was involved with many of these, GST. In spite of all the opposition, how is India today? GST is doing so well. Things are becoming transparent. Corporate and in corporate sector also we did two things. And as the law minister, I'm very happy to share with you, Shishir Babu. The previous company law was full of trying to fault criminal action against a delinquent corporate leader. I remember I was sitting in a meeting. तो हमने कहा रजिस्टर नहीं फाइल किया तो क्रिमिनल केस फाइल करने का क्या मतलब है? You tell them to file the register. Come on. We removed more than 200 plus clauses which were unnecessarily fastening criminal liability. Let us trust Indian corporate leaders. Let us nudge them to become more responsible, which they are, even otherwise. And those who are deviant, take tough action. If this kind of ecosystem was developed, India is today where it is. And friends, I have not the slightest doubt. In few years, India will become the third biggest economy of the world. And the more is the growth of Indian economy with sustainability, the more is the opportunity for all of you, my young friends. Thank you.